Hi everyone, welcome to the video lecture series of object-oriented programming. In this video lecture, we'll be discussing about the topic called runtime polymorphism. We have discussed about static polymorphism or compile time polymorphism, which is our method overloading. This is runtime polymorphism. That is what we are going to discuss in this video lecture. Runtime polymorphism is actually the second usage of method overriding. The first usage was to provide specific implementation of the methods that is already given by the parent class. The second usage of method overriding is known as runtime polymorphism, and that is what we are going to cover in this video lecture. So what is runtime polymorphism? Runtime polymorphism is also known as dynamic method dispatch. So from these three words we can summarize what is runtime polymorphism. Dynamic means during the running time. Method means our normal methods, and dispatch, that means the methods to be dispatched, that is to be invoked, will be decided during the running time of the program. That is known as dynamic method dispatch or runtime polymorphism. So we can define runtime polymorphism as a process in which a call to an overridden method. This word is very important because runtime polymorphism or dynamic method dispatch is based on method overriding, or it happens only in terms of, or it happens only when some methods are overridden. Okay, and the resolving of that overridden method takes place at runtime rather than compile time. Okay, so it is a process in which a call to an overridden method is resolved at runtime. Okay, we know what is method overriding, right? We have two classes, one is a parent class of the other. If both parent and child class has got the methods with same name, that is known as method overriding. In such situations, which method, that is the child class, will be getting a method with same name. Okay, the problem is the situation is like this. We have a parent class and a child class. The parent class has got a method, say the method name is method 1. Okay, the child class also has got a method named method 1. But since the child class has got a parent class, due to inheritance, the method named method 1 inside the parent class will be also available for the child class. So now the child class has got two methods with same name, method 1. One method is the method that it got from the parent class, and the other method is its own method. So when we call the method named method 1 during the running time, which among these two methods that the child class has got needs to be executed? That decision is done during running time. That process is known as dynamic method dispatch or runtime polymorphism. And how the decision depends, or how the decision is taken, which among these two methods needs to be invoked, that depends upon the reference variable. Okay, for this you need to know the meaning of reference variable. Okay, so the overridden method is called through the reference variable of the superclass. Okay, that means it is possible to assign the reference variable of an object, child class, to the reference variable of parent class. Okay, so that's the situation here. We have two classes, one is a parent class and the other one is a child class. It is possible to assign the reference variable of a child class to the parent class variable. In that case, which method will get invoked? That is the question that we have to answer. Okay, and that process is taking place during running time. That is why it is known as runtime polymorphism or dynamic method dispatch. Before we go into much details, we have to learn one topic that is known as upcasting. Now, what is upcasting? You have to read this line very carefully because you must understand each word in this line properly. If the reference variable of a parent class refers to the object of child class, I repeat, if the reference variable of parent class. Okay, so we have two classes, two different classes. One is a parent class and the other one is a child class. That means inheritance. Okay, if the reference variable of parent class refers to the object of child class, that process is known as upcasting. See here, we have class A. I have not written any lines of code, so because I want to explain what is upcasting, that's all. Okay, and I'm writing under class B, which is going to extend class A. So B is the child class and A is the parent class, isn't it? Okay, because there is the keyword extends between B and A, that means B is extending A. That means B is inheriting A. Now see this line, A small letter A. So here what is the type of A? Type of this small letter A is class A. That is what we mean by reference variable of parent class. See here, reference variable of parent class. So in this example or in this line of code, this small letter A is the reference variable of the parent class. Okay, and that variable is referring to the object of the child class. Why? Because we are calling the constructor of class B, not of class A. So here the reference variable of the parent class is referring to the object of class B, because we are calling the constructor of class B. When do we call a constructor? We call constructors only for creating objects. So here when we call the constructor of class B, that means we are actually creating an object of class B. Okay, so but that object is being referred by a variable A whose type is class A. Okay, so here what's the relation between A and B? A is the parent class of B and B is the child class. So the reference variable of parent class is referring the object of child class, and this is possible only if there exists an inheritance relationship between them. Otherwise this line will be showing an error. So this is known as upcasting. Okay, we need this term, or we need this idea to explain runtime polymorphism, because now we have a reference variable of parent class, okay, but it is referring to the object of a child class. Now think like this: class A I have got one method, the name of the method is method 1. Class B also have got another method, say the method name is method 1 itself. But due to inheritance, class B will get a copy of the method 1 from class A. So now class B has got two methods having same name, method 1, right? One method among these two methods, method 1 method is belonging to class B itself. The other method is that it got from class A. Even then the method names are the same. So now when I call A dot method 1, which method inside class B will get executed? That's a question, because the A variable A is of type A and object is of type B. Okay, so which among the two methods inside the class B will get executed when we call the method being overridden by using the reference variable of the parent class? That is the question, or that is known as. We'll use the same example as discussed in the previous video, that is to explain the first usage of method overriding. So we know this scenario, right? We have a parent class bank, we have child classes SBI, ICICI and Axis, and this method get rate of interest is being overridden by all these three classes, because the parent class bank has got this method, the same method with same parameter list with same return type is there inside all the three child classes. Inside SBI also we have get rate of interest, inside ICICI also we have get rate of interest, inside Axis also we have the method get rate of interest, and all these three classes are child class of class bank because we have used the keyword extends here. SBI extends bank, ICICI extends bank, Axis extends bank. So all these three are the child class of class bank. Okay, so this is actually a method overriding situation, because Due to inheritance, SBI, ICICI and Axis, all these three classes will be getting a copy of this method get rate of interest from class bank. Even then, they have written their own get rate of interest method. So inside this class there exist two methods with same name and same parameter list. SBI has got its own get rate of interest method plus the method get rate of interest it got from class bank. Similarly, ICICI and Axis also have the same situation. Okay, now see what we are doing. We are declaring a reference variable of class bank. Who is bank? Bank is the parent class. We are just declaring a reference variable of class bank. So the type of variable B is class bank. It's similar to we write int A. In that case the type of A is integer. Similarly, bank B means type of this variable B is bank. Okay, now since bank is a parent class of all these three classes, it is possible to assign the object of the child class to the reference variable of the parent class. That is known as upcasting. So this is upcasting here because B is the reference variable of parent class, and we are this B is referring to the object of one of its child class SBI. So when we write B equal to new SBI, since SBI has got two get rate of interest methods, this object B, this reference variable can access two get rate of interest methods, right? So when we execute B dot get rate of interest, which among those two methods will get executed? That is the question. Okay, so B is the object of class SBI. The type of variable B is class bank. Due to inheritance and method overriding, at present class SBI has got two methods with same name. The method name is get rate of interest, and how it gets two methods. One method is there inside the class SBI itself, and the other method is the method it got from the class bank, which is its parent class. So now when I call this B dot get rate of interest, which among those two methods will get executed? As we can see, the output we got it as at 8.4. That means when we call a method that is overridden by the reference variable of a parent class, it will be the method of the child class that will get executed. I repeat, if we call a method that is overridden, here get rate of interest, this method is overridden. Why? Because we have a parent class bank, we have a child class SBI. In both classes there exists a method with same name and same parameter list. Due to inheritance, this bank will be getting a copy of this method also. That means inside this class there are two methods with same name, and we are calling a method. We are calling that method that is being overridden, but we are calling that method by using a reference variable B, which is of type bank, which is the parent class. So when we execute this line of code, since this method is overridden, since B is the reference variable of the parent class, the method that is going to get executed will be that of the object to which this parent class reference variable is currently pointing. Because currently inside B, or this parent class reference variable is referring to the object of child class SBI. So when we call B dot get rate of interest, it will be the method inside the class SBI will be getting executed. Now see the next line, B equal to new ICICI. Now this object or this reference variable of class bank is pointing to, is referring to the object of its another child class ICICI. Again, if I call B dot get rate of interest, at present B is referring to the object of ICICI. So the get rate of interest of a method inside class ICICI will get executed. So we will get 7.3 as the output. Now see this line, B equal to new axis. At present B is referring to the object of class access, that is this class. This class also will get two methods with same name due to method overriding. One method from class bank and another of its own method. Okay, so now if we try b dot get rate of interest, okay, the method that gets executed will be that of class access, because now b is pointing to class access, or b is pointing to the object of class access. Okay, now see this, we have used the same variable here, b equal to new SBI, b equal to new ICICI, b equal to new access. This is possible because the type of b is class bank, which is a parent class of these three classes. That is why these lines are possible, otherwise it's not possible. Okay, and secondly, see that the method that gets executed each time, the methods that needs to be executed depends on the object to which the parent class reference variable is pointing at that moment, and that is decided during running time. That is why it is known as runtime polymorphism. I hope it's clear. Please rewind and hear this explanation at least twice. Then this runtime polymorphism is available only for methods. That's another point that we have to keep in mind. If the data members are overridden, it will not count as runtime polymorphism. See, in this example we have class bike and class Honda 3. Honda 3 is the child class of class bike. Inside class bike we have an integer variable speed limit, its value is 90. Inside class Honda 3 also we have another variable, its name is speed limit itself, so it is overriding this, right? The variable inside class Honda 3 is overriding the variable inside class bike. Always the the data members or methods inside the child class is said to be overriding the data members or methods inside the parent class. So in this example, this variable speed limit inside class Honda 3 is overriding the variable speed limit inside the class bike. Bike is a parent class of Honda 3. Okay, so now see, we are creating the class object, or we are declaring one reference variable obj. The reference variable type of this variable is class bike, which is our parent class. And see, we are making reference to the object of child class Honda 3. Obj is the reference variable of the parent class, and it is referring to the object of the child class. Even then, if you type obj.speed limit, in that case the value that we are going to get printed will be the value of the speed limit variable that this object or this class Honda 3 received from the parent class bike. See, it will print 90, not 150. That means runtime polymorphism is available only for methods, not for variables. In case of methods, if you call the method that is being overridden by means of the reference variable of the parent class, it will be the method of the child class it's going to be executed. But if we talk about variables that is being overridden, in that case this runtime polymorphism will not be there. It will be the variables that the child class got from the parent class will be executing. That is what this example explains. Okay, please go through this twice so that you will not get confused between the method implementation and the overridden data member. Now we will see how this runtime polymorphism works in multi-level inheritance. See this example, we have class animal, we have class dog and class baby dog, and as you can see, dog is the child class of class animal and baby dog is the child class of class dog. So as you can see, there is a multi-level inheritance. There are three levels. At the top level we have animal, at the second level we have dog, and the third level we have baby dog. And see, we are creating three reference variables of class animal. Animal is the parent class, so all these three variables a1, a2 and a3, all these three are the reference variables of the parent class animal. And see, we are creating an object of class animal here because we are calling the constructor of class animal itself. So a1 is the object of class animal, which is the parent class. Okay, now A2 here in the second line of code we are writing A2 is equal to new dog. So A2 is the reference variable of parent class. It is referring to the object of the child class. So A2 is now referring to an object of dog which is the child class of class animal, and A2 is the reference variable of type animal. Similarly A3 also, A3 is now referring to the class object of class baby dog. So see the relation between baby dog and animal. Baby dog is the grandson of class animal, we can say like that. Okay, grandchild. Okay, or animal is the grandparent of baby dog. Okay, so A3 is the reference variable of class animal which is the parent class or grandparent of class baby dog. So now see how it is working. A1 dot eat. A1 is the object of class animal. So when we call A1 dot eat, the method eat inside class animal will be executed. There is no doubt in it because A1 is the object of class animal itself. Now see the second line of code here, A2 dot eat. So now see here the method is overridden already. We have the method with same name in all the in parent class and the child classes. Okay, so here also there is a method eat, here also there is a method eat, and here also there is a method named eat. So method is being overridden. So now in this line A2 dot eat, A2 is referring to the object of class dog. The type of variable A2 is the parent class animal. So when we call A2 dot eat, what happens is the method inside the object class dog will be executed, even though the type of this A2 is animal. A2 being the reference variable of animal, at present this variable is referring to the object of class dog. So in that case, when we call A2 dot eat, the method eat of class dog, that is what going to be executed. That is why we are getting the output as eating fruits, because the value that is being printed inside this method eat of class dog is eating fruits. Similarly, when we have written A3 is equal to new baby dog, the type of this variable is class animal, that is it is the reference variable of a grandparent class animal. It is referring to the object of grandchild which is baby dog. So now when we call A3 dot eat, the method inside the class baby dog, that is what going to be executed. That is why we are getting drinking milk as the output. We shall conclude now. So in this video lecture we explained about runtime polymorphism. It is also known as dynamic method dispatch. We defined what is it, then how to do that, how to achieve runtime polymorphism, and we discussed about a feature named as upcasting, and how this runtime polymorphism works in multi-level inheritance. That also we discussed. Thank you so much.